If you were a worrier, you might worry about money, your job, your family, and many other things. But on top of all that, you might worry what all this worrying is doing to your health. Worry about worry is particularly common in generalized anxiety disorder. The other thing that is common in GAD is reassurance seeking. People with GAD seek reassurance to try to alleviate the worry, and that is probably why you clicked on this video. You are hoping to hear that worry is not bad for you. But unfortunately, reassurance seeking often backfires and makes the worry worse. I'm afraid that initially may be the case with this video, but please stay with me because, after the bad news, I am going to give you some good news. So the bad news is evidence shows that worry is likely to be bad for you. In the short term, worry is unlikely to have any negative effects on your health, but in the long term, it can. This was demonstrated in this study that followed 1,759 older men over 20 years and concluded high levels of worry in specific domains may increase the risk of coronary heart disease in older men. And this study, which concluded the implications of poor emotion regulation strategies and higher levels of anxiety or depression seem to be the most relevant in prevention and treatment, with significant impact in morbidity and mortality in anxious as well as in cardiovascular disease patients. A lot of studies I read struggle to identify anxiety alone as a cause of cardiovascular disease, because people with anxiety disorders are more likely to have higher risk lifestyles, such as smoking, high alcohol consumption, poor diet, and lack of exercise. But some studies have tried to establish how anxiety itself could impact the heart, independent of lifestyle factors. A lot of studies on the effect of stress and anxiety on the heart talk about heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is the variation in the time intervals between consecutive heartbeats. Low HRV has been associated with an increased risk of various health problems, including cardiovascular disease. HRV reflects the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches of the autonomic nervous system. And low HRV is also associated with anxiety disorders because the sympathetic nervous system is constantly activated, which is not good for the heart. So it does appear that constant anxiety or worry can be bad for the heart. Now I should point out that it's not inevitable that everyone with anxiety will get heart problems later in life. And many of these studies acknowledge that lifestyle, family history of heart problems, and socio-economic conditions will all affect someone's risk profile. Even what you worry about may play a part, as if we go back to this study, it found that people who worried about social conditions had a higher risk than people who worried about other things. So I know all this bad news is not helping your anxiety, but you need to understand how anxiety affects the body to appreciate the good news and to know what to do to lower your risk. The good news is there are things you can do that will lower your anxiety and hence reduce your risk. One of those things is demonstrated in this study, which took patients who had undergone heart bypass surgery and split them into two groups. One group had 9 months of cognitive behavioral therapy, and the other didn't. The CBT group demonstrated significant improvements in health-related quality of life, but also significant increases in general heart rate variability. And if you remember earlier, heart rate variability is the measure of heart health. So CBT made their heart get healthier. This is because practicing CBT means your sympathetic nervous system is activated a lot less. I'm not going to go deeply into CBT principles in this video, as I have over 200 videos on CBT on my channel. But one of the most important principles, particularly with GAD, is the reduction of reassurance seeking. After learning about the link between heart rate variability and heart health, your anxiety will probably now tell you that you need to find a way of checking your heart rate variability. You need to reassure yourself that you don't have low heart rate variability. But if you do that, it will just feed your anxiety and open up a lot more questions to worry about. Is this reading good or bad? Does that mean there is something wrong with my heart? And the next thing you know, you are back on Google trying to work out how long you have left to live. You know how anxiety works. So, you have an opportunity here to try to resist your anxiety and start thinking and behaving in a CBT way. So instead of dedicating your time to researching and checking HRV, dedicate that time to learning and applying CBT in your life. Dedicate that time to healthy practices that activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which will help lower your anxiety and hence reduce your heart risk. Practices like mindfulness meditation and self-hypnosis. Using tools like these can also make it easier to resist the urge to seek reassurance that is doing so much damage to your mental and physical health. If you don't know much about CBT, mindfulness meditation and hypnosis, you can find a lot of videos about them in my playlists. Take a look at my GAD playlist and my hypnosis playlist. Take care now.